Guys, today it's September 27th. We're about a week into fall, and I'm going to be doing a couple interesting things today. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about fertilization of warm season grasses at the end of summer, which is something that a lot of people don't think too much about because warm season grasses start shutting down this time of year. Here, I'm on my hill yard. I calculate this at about 1,700 square feet of grass space. This is predominantly Buffalograss. It's thin, it's coming in from seed. It's a very slow grass to come in, but it is growing and we still have temperatures to support additional growth. So I'm going to go ahead and give it some fertilizer to help push it as much as I possibly can before dormancy sets in here. Not only that though, I'm going to be fertilizing the main yard. As you see the main yard over there, we're actually starting to get less and less stuff in the yard. We used to have a playhouse here, patio furniture is gone. Most of the kids' play stuffs are gone because we are moving in a couple weeks. What makes this kind of bittersweet is this is most likely the last time I will ever fertilize the main yard. Let's go down there and take a look. To the layperson, it doesn't really look like it needs fertilizer. However, it hasn't been fertilized in a while. I do use organics, so a lot of the purpose of fertilizing is the constant addition of organic matter into the soil. I want to support this lawn as much as I can, even though it's not going to be mine going forward. Kind of sad to say that. So this entire yard is looking pretty healthy. I do have a small section over here that I'm not going to fertilize. So the reason for that, I'm not going to say right now. It's going to be in a different video. I'm not sure if the video is going to come out before or after this one, but regardless, when it's available, I'll link to it down in the description below. But this little square right here will not get fertilized. You notice that I've scalped it down low. There's a reason for that, and I hope it's interesting to you guys who watch many of my videos. Now the warm season grass up on the hill, because it's new grass and it's a warm season grass and we're entering fall, our temperatures are going to be dropping here pretty quick. We've been in the 80s this week. However, today we're only supposed to get to about 78, and then we're going to be in the low 70s and the overnight in the mid 40s for the next 10 days or so. So that grass up there really wants to slow down. But because it's active now, it's not dormant now, I'm going to be pushing it with a little bit of urea. It's going to be a liquid urea, and it's going to have a little bit of phosphorus and potassium in there. In the fall, I don't care what grass type you have, you really do want to throw some potassium down. I just believe that wholeheartedly, because when temperatures drop for any grass type, warm season or cool season grass type, those grasses will eventually go dormant, and we want them to be able to sustain themselves through the winter. That potassium gives them a little bit of an edge in hardiness to get through the winter well. You don't want your lawn to thin out too much over the winter. By springtime, you want it to be able to come back pretty thick and full. And although the grass blades on top might be dormant, the crowns and the underground root systems are hibernating. They're not dead, and that extra nutrition gives them a better chance at waking up in the spring healthy. Now for me in my particular situation, because I'm dealing with a whole bunch of baby warm season grass sprouts up there, and they're in different stages of development. We've got a little bit more mature buffalo grass here, which I've cut down super low. See these dark spots? I've applied some liquid iron to some weeds in there, and that's darkened the weeds up. The grass actually doesn't look any different at all. It's the weeds that have blackened while they die. But various areas of this hill have more or less buffalo grass on them. Because we get very cold over the winter, I really want to push rooting as much as I possibly can and give it as much of a chance as possible to overwinter, so that this whole hill really fills in, turns nice and green for the new owner of this lawn next year. So I'm going to be putting down, like I said, a light dose of nitrogen. I'm going to use this Green Machine product, which is 1648. This is one of the only urea-based products in the Lawnbright line. If you run the math, I'm going to be putting approximately 2/10 of a pound of nitrogen onto the hill yard, along with approximately 1/10 of a pound of potassium. So it's not a lot, but it is enough to stimulate a little bit more growth while the temperatures support it. In addition to the NPK, I'm going to really go down the biostimulant route here by throwing down the Root RX product as well. Root RX product is going to have a lot of the kelp. So I've applied Cytogrow on this hill yard a few times already, but I've already got that packed up in a box. So right here, I'm going to be getting some more kelp. I'm also getting some molasses, which is going to be a stimulant for the microorganisms in the soil up there. And then the humic acid is definitely going to help with some nutrient uptake. I don't believe I've ever applied humic acid to this hill, so it will be the first and only time that I do it. For the main lawn though, I've always been putting down organics only, or at least for an awful long time. So I'm going to do that with different products than I'm putting on the hill yard. And because I'm a supporter of putting down heavy applications of organic lawn products infrequently, I'm going to be putting both of these products down together over the whole yard. And again, if you run the math, which I'm not going to go into right here, you're looking at, I mean, I guess I'll touch on it, 10% of this bag, 16 pounds, 10% of it is nitrogen. So that means it's 1.6 pounds of nitrogen. If I divide that by 2.5, then that shows that I'm putting down approximately 2/3 of a pound of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet. When I add this in, 5% of an 18-pound bag divided by 2.5, I'm ignoring this, is approximately 1/3 of a pound of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet. Add the two together, so I'm going to be putting approximately 1 pound of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet on my main lawn. In comparison to the hill yard, it seems like I'm putting an enormous amount of nitrogen down here on the main yard, and I am. That's a big application. But because these are slow release natural products, they will not get used instantly, and it's not going to burn the lawn whatsoever, even if I were to just really mess up. All those nutrients are going to go down into the soil, feed the lawn for pretty much the whole fall. I don't know if the new owner of this house is going to winterize the property, so this will, even if they don't, this will give them really good nutrition throughout the entire remainder of the growing season. And because of my work on this lawn over the years, their spring is probably going to go really well, even if they don't put a winterizer fertilizer down, and even if they don't fertilize in the spring. Smells like success. It actually kind of smells a little sour. Now, I didn't mention it, but I will now. Neither of these products contain phosphorus. It's a 502, that's a 1006. They both contain potassium. So we're getting roughly a 2-to-1 ratio of nitrogen to potassium. I don't need phosphorus because I applied a lot of Milorganite early in the season, which has a lot of phosphorus in it. So that's no big deal either. Now, for those of you watching this who have and grow warm season grasses, whether it be in your entire property or just a portion, maybe say for your front yard or something like that, if your temperatures are still high enough for your grass to continue growing, go ahead and fertilize. But this is the part that I really want you to understand is even if the temperatures support new growth, at this time of year, your warm season grasses are going to slow down regardless of temperature. And the reason for that is because of the sun. There it is, the sun up there. At the end of September, the amount of sun that we get is the same as what we're getting at the end of March. Now think about your warm season grass, what it looked like at the end of March. It was probably still dormant. Granted, it was colder at the end of March, but there's not nearly as much sun in the sky as there is in the month of June, July, and August. Warm season grasses are all sun-loving grasses. Heaven forbid you have tons of trees while you're living down in a warm season area, because it's going to be pretty hard to grow warm season grasses in those shady environments. During the fall, before we get to winter, there's just not a lot of sun in the sky. So even if you're in a full sun environment, your grass will start slowing down. So you don't want to push fast, vigorous growth. That is technically a pressure. It's a stressor on grass that doesn't want to grow very fast, very vigorously. So if you're applying too much nitrogen to your warm season grass in the fall and you're pushing extra unnecessary growth, you will be weakening your grass just a little bit. It's just not worth it. There's no reason to not fertilize if your grass is still growing. Just don't go overboard. We just fertilized for the last time. What do you think about that?
I don't know.
No words can express your immense sorrow.
No.
Now, there's a lot more information that pertains to fall as a season. I do recommend going into the description down below. I have a link to my full fall lawn care guide, but more so, I really want you to watch my winterization video. I'm not going to be able to winterize this lawn. I'm not going to live here during that time of year. So watch this lawn winterization video. I go into some things in that video that nobody really talks about. It's the stuff that people don't truly understand when they're looking at their lawn in the month of November thinking, I should winterize.